Hey there, future me. Or, well, I guess if anyone is watching this in the future, I honestly don't really know. I guess if future me will end up watching this. Well, near future me will probably end up having to listen to this again as he like prepares to, I guess, upload the video. But once the video is there, will anyone, I guess, be there? I don't know. It's currently like 3 a.m. in the morning. It's Wednesday now, I guess, but and I'm having a bit of a contemplation, doing a big think. I recently like was browsing Reddit when I kind of went over the subreddit for my undergraduate university, and they're like, "Yeah, yo, by the way, we're kind of axing Google Drive for alumni," and I was like, "Oh snap, that's kind of bad. I gotta like take all the files and like move them out, right?" So I like cracked open my alumni, or I guess my email account, right? Logged in, went on Drive, and I was like, "Man, that's a lot of files," and like downloaded all the stuff. And while I was kind of like looking through it, I just realized just how much stuff I like didn't recall or just like almost completely forgot about, right? You see like these like photos with like me in them and some other people and you're like, dude, I like remember these faces, but like what are their names, you know? And it kind of like takes a while to just kind of like connect, and then it kind of just like um dawns on me, I guess, or like just I'm having one of those moments right now. I think today's like audio is probably going to be more of like a wailer than it's going to be, or not like not like a, I'm not gonna be like crying or anything, but it's just gonna be like, man, this is kind of rough, or this is just kind of whack. But maybe all the videos are like that, anyways. Like, it's just kind of crazy as to how, even though these things happened like 4 or maybe like even more recently, like 2 years ago, I've already just forgotten so much of it. I mean, I guess like that's one of maybe it's moments like these that motivate me to, I guess, make the YouTube channel, right? But even then, it's like suppose that I make this YouTube channel, right, and I end up uploading a lot of videos, but like when I guess like just move on from this eventually, or just if I don't ever come back to it, and like YouTube just like dies, right? Um, this is just kind of gone, isn't it? And I mean, I suppose like in hopefully the far future, whenever I eventually die, hopefully of old age and not of anything tragic. Um, what's going to be what will this become, right? Will this just become like, I guess, junk that ends up getting like swept under the rug somehow, or just kind of it's just like another thing that I guess like maybe past me collected so that potentially future me or future people could put of use, but then maybe it was recalled a few times, but eventually it becomes forgotten, right? It's like this idea. I remember watching this like Vsauce way back in the day about like dying twice, right? And the second death is whenever like your name is spoken for the last time. And to some degree, I don't really know why. Like the idea of being forgotten bothers me so much. Like you'd think that like studying like astronomy and all this stuff kind of makes you rather not awestruck, but rather just like aware of the sublime, or like the large, the ever seeing, right? Like all of humanity is like effectively nothing, and like it's like a mere blink or even less than a blink of the universe's lifespan, right? And then we don't really know what's going to happen to the universe in the end, but from what we gather, like the Earth will eventually be, absorbed by the sun whenever it goes like red giant and just kind of envelops the Earth, and all of these things, keepsakes, memories, all of these things that we made, all of these efforts to conquer the world, to change the world, to sculpt, to craft, to shape anything, are all, well, they'll all return to less than dust, seemingly. Um, I suppose you can, make like some like spiritual argument, but we'll save like the, metaphysical stuff for later, I guess. But so you'd think that like having studied all this, I would be a little bit more like less not emotionally vulnerable. Like I don't think like I'm on the verge of like breaking down right now, but it's just like at the very least it's pulled some strings, right? But I don't really think this happened like when I was younger. I think at some point in time I started to more mortality started to I guess, kick in, and now I feel a lot more mortal, and I suppose I'm having one of those more mortal moments right now. Just where does it all go? Where does like not maybe not where does it all go? These are things that I already know the answer to, but maybe just why am I doing any of this? Will future me care? Will anyone in the future care? Of course, like the cope, or well, like the argument that we should be making, I guess, is well, maybe future you won't like actually look at this, and maybe anyone in the future won't actually look at this. Maybe all of this will simply be lost, but we should do this because present you feels like it's appropriate. But why does present me feel like this is appropriate? To some degree, like I think if I knew that future me wouldn't like ever look at these videos, right? If I just made these videos to upload and then no one watched them, including future me, I wouldn't really upload them to begin with, right? And the only reason why I guess I'm making these now is because I know that present me is rather, I guess, interested as to what past me thought about. Um, but at some point in time, like, surely I'm not going to, you know, listen to or yeah, surely I'm not going to like look at all of the things that pass me documents down, right? I downloaded these like I didn't really go through every individual file in the drive to see if I wanted to like keep it, right? Just kind of like selected like all of the folders that I created and all of these things and just kind of like mass copied and mass pasted. Maybe and I guess like I'm telling myself now, yeah, maybe sometime later on like I'll go through and just kind of like see what I did, right? But otherwise it's just I don't know. There's probably going to be a lot of things that I've downloaded that I will never touch again. And maybe like some of the folders in there were things that I downloaded from like even prior occasions, right? Maybe from like high school or something. And I was actually just like gradually passing the ball over. And I guess like these files in time will be backed up onto a hard drive that will be like an external hard drive that whenever I guess this current laptop croaks, I'll put it on to like another one and it'll just kind of keep going over and over. And so I guess I keep doing this just like for the potential of future me looking back. But will I? I don't know. I mean, I hope I do, but at the same time, like, will I not be partially lost in the past if I spend so much time doing this? Of course, it's always like an issue of balance, right? You should never I shouldn't have my head fully stuck in the past. If I documented every living moment right now and I spent like a whole year doing that, I'd have to spend a whole year of my life like as future me, like trying to see what it was like being past me, right? And that's like, I don't know if I want to do that. A lot of the time it's kind of boring. Sometimes I'm just, or at least probably about a third of the time I'm just sleeping, and then like a lot of the other times, like I'm pooping or I'm eating or I'm just like walking. And it's like, man, we could, I could do without seeing this, 365 times or so. So yeah, I guess surely not all of it's important, but I guess I've always been a bit more of or not always, but at some point in recent history, not entirely sure when, I really became like attached to this idea of capturing the mundane, and I just like keeping it because I feel like although like I feel like I'll always remember like the really defining events such as like getting into grad school or like barely squeaking it out of like a class or like barely squeaking it out of finals week after having like five assignments due like all during the last week, and it's just like being this horrible cram. I guess like maybe even then like I only vaguely remember those now, like even though like in the moment like by the time when you turn in your last final you feel like you're a god or something. um but I don't know. Like, what's the benefit? I guess what's the current benefit of doing this now if I can't be sure that future me will appreciate this later? And maybe like the argument is like, well, at least you're trying. And it's like, okay, sure, I guess at least I'm trying, but like I could spend my time doing something else, right? And if I do something else that like present me, I guess like directly benefits from, then maybe it will be more useful like overall. But I don't know. I guess I just feel this like urge to want to write all this stuff down because somehow I guess I wish like someone in the future, whether future me or not, will know that I guess like in some way like I was here. Not necessarily look at me, I'm so fancy, but just like I was once a person in these shoes, and me of the now, I guess, was this is what I thought, this is what I did, this is me as a human at this moment, and I don't know, like, well, once again, it's just very strange to think as to why I right now, I guess, maybe I'm just getting a little bit sentimental. So, of course, I guess like this is me at the moment. I think me after getting some rest, right, and waking up the next day, I'll be like, man, this guy's like, he kind of maybe he's onto something, but maybe he's like getting a bit too feels at the moment. But I guess like maybe it's important to capture this right now, although it's not necessarily the easiest to describe how I feel. Um, hmm, I don't know, like memory and all that stuff. Like, what's the point of having memories if you're never going to use them? What's the point of saying that you were here if you're just going to be forgotten? I mean, sure, you can say some of it is truly just living in the present, right? We want to, maybe sometimes we don't really care about leaving an impression. All that matters is that by saying that we were here, we're like effectively like affirming our own existence somehow. But it's times like these to where I wish like I didn't really think about this too much. I guess like it's, but maybe this is also something which makes me rather like these are the things which make us human somehow. But I guess if it weren't for that, I wouldn't mind not being so like suddenly, I guess, sad, or rather just rather confronted with something as existential. Anyways, I guess I like I remember like in the last video, past me was like, oh, I hope that whenever I like a week from now and I record the next audio, I'll be fine. But or like I'll have uploaded like the last two audios, but I guess this adds like another audio to the queue. It's a bit spontaneous, and I bet this is probably a bit less coherent than the other ones, so this is probably going to be maybe even worse to process. But I don't know. Yeah, at least I recorded it down. Well, I guess I'm still set on this, but yeah, I don't know. Well, future me, I hope you've gotten a bit more sleep, and I hope the next video is up. Until then.